On this episode, we share our top 10 height-restricted rides at Walt Disney World. Today's November 4th, 2022. This is episode 510 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts. Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I am your host, Jeremy Stein, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda.
Hey, guys.
Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MainStMagic. If you've not done so already, head out to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. Then if you hit that subscribe button, you're going to get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. If you did not get that dining that you wanted 60 days out, you didn't get your candlelight processional, maybe you didn't get your Phantasmic dining package, don't worry, because Mouse Dining has you covered. They're going to alert you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. You can visit msmfriends.com to use this free service. And if you're getting ready to plan that next Disney or Universal vacation, looking to go on a cruise, or pretty much travel anywhere else in the world, head to mainstmagictravel.com, fill out a form for a free quote. Our travel services are completely free to you. Finally, before we get into today's episode, Main Street 16 weekend is now only November, December, January, 4 months away, less than 4 months away. So
crazy.
You can go to mainstreet16.com, learn all about this incredible weekend that will benefit Give Kids the World Village, including a Friday ticketed event at Stargazer Lounge at Disney Springs. Get more information on that. And then Saturday is the actual 16 ride challenge. So again, mainstreet16.com. Today, we're talking about our top 10 rides at Walt Disney World that have some sort of height restriction on them.
Right.
And we're going to exclude the water parks, though. So this will just be the 4 main parks. And we're going to go through our list. There's actually 22 total rides to choose from at Disney World that have some sort of height restriction on them. And whether that's, 40 inches, 32, some go all the way up to like 48 inches. We're going to rank them, and then we'll talk a little bit too about, let's talk about what we think if it's a good ride as an introduction ride to somebody of that age and height.
Oh yeah.
Because some of these might not be, you might not go, hey, this is the first time I'm tall enough to go, I'm 40 inches or 42 inches, whatever it may be. I can finally do this ride. Might be like, you might want to ease into that one. Yeah. So let's start right out with number 10. And what did we select there?
We selected Star Tours. The adventures continue. And these guests must be 40 inches or 102 centimeters or taller. And I'm surprised, whereas I know that there's less, you can be shorter in other rides.
For sure.
So this surprises me that you have to be at least 40.
Yeah, and I'm awful. There's 2 things I'm bad at. One, I'm not very good at telling what a person's age is, especially when it comes to children.
Correct.
And 2, I'm now thinking like, all right, so that's 3 feet 4 inches. Roughly, normally, how old are you at 3 feet 4 inches?
I don't know, but I can go get the girls' charts.
Why don't you do that? We'll go ahead and do that. Go grab their chart. I'm going to pause real quick, grab their chart, and we'll figure out around. That's actually a perfect idea. And she's back, but through the magic of podcast editing, you had no idea. She was gone for like 3 hours. What did you do? Did you stop somewhere?
No, but I was going to say I grabbed Lacey's because I could not grab Kaylin's because she is taller than me now. And we actually had to buy her a new one because the 2 that we bought only went up to 5 foot.
Oh, yeah.
And Kaylin is 5'4.5".
Yeah. So we have, I know a lot of people do it. For me growing up, I don't know if it was the same for you, but did your parents mark your heights on a door? Inside like a door jam? We did ours in our kitchen.
Yeah. No, because we ended up moving. We were in Tampa and then we were in Argyle and then now.
Yeah. So you'd have to like recreate it.
Yeah. That's why I knew, because I figured we weren't going to stay in the house forever. That's why I bought these when the children were very young.
Oh, yeah. These light calendars are great. And we actually, because the girls are, their birthdays are 6 months apart. So we measure both of them on each of their birthdays. So where are we at then at 40 inches roughly?
Lacey was half an inch shorter at 40 inches at 4 years of age.
So you're probably around a 4-year-old. I think that this is a pretty good introductory ride
I do too.
for a 4-year-old.
I do too.
I think it's perfect. We absolutely love Star Tours.
Yeah.
I love so much, and maybe we'll just talk about it now. I love it so much because you can ride it and experience multiple scenarios.
Yeah.
Big question is, do you think they'll do that with Flight of Passage now that the Way
hope
of the
so.
Water is finally coming out 13 years later?
I hope so.
I would
That'd
hope
be
so
fun.
too. Now, the only difference is they're not taking direct scenage for Flight of Passage from the first Avatar movie, but maybe they decide to make a change and do that. I would love to see it.
Yeah.
All
Be
right.
interesting.
What is our number 9?
So our number 9 is Slinky Dog Dash, and guests must be 38 inches or in centimeters 97 or taller, which that surprises me because Star Tours is a motion and 3D visual.
Yeah.
Whereas Slinky Dog Dash is a actual like roller coaster.
Yeah. So we're looking at, all right, 38 inches. Lacey was 3.5
3.5.
years old. While I think this is one of the most perfect family coasters, along with Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which did not make our list, but it certainly could have.
Yeah.
It's 38 inches as well. I think our whole beef and most people's beef with Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in the end is that it's just so short.
Yeah.
It's one of those is weight versus length of ride, and
Right.
no, it's not. While you're certainly going to wait longer or you're going to get Genie Plus and use it for Slinky Dog Dash, I think the payoff overall is worth it, especially when you have that second launch that kind of makes the ride just feel longer. It is a longer track. I don't know, though, that as soon as my kid hit 38 inches at 3.5 years old, I'd put them on this.
Well, and that's
especially with that first initial, big wraparound
and
drop.
it's funny because as you were saying this and we were starting out, I was thinking, just like a Halloween Horror Night situation, just know your kid.
Yes, this is very, very true. This is so dependent on your child. You have friends that just took their 7-year-old to Halloween Horror Nights, and she was less scared than they were as adults, and she absolutely loved it. Other people, Lacey wasn't ready till she was 11, and we weren't even sure that she was ready.
Right.
And then it turned out that she loved it. But if we had taken her at 7, it would have scarred her for life, and
she'd have died.
somebody would have taken her
She
away
may
from
have
us,
died.
probably. Yeah. So I think that is a very good point to know your kids. For me, it's really that initial launch and big wraparound that you come down, that you're high up, that I think could maybe throw off some 3.5-year-olds and scare them a bit. But then you look at something like Barnstormers, also, I believe, 38 inches. No, it's 35 inches. That's probably your kid's first coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would think.
That's fun, though.
And you see their reaction on this. Yeah, you put their reaction. It's very short.
Yeah.
I think that thing times out at like 60 seconds if you're lucky. So I think starting them off on something like a Barnstormer, seeing how they like it, then you go, all right, they did Barnstormer, even at 38 inches. Even if you don't take them when they're 35, because then you don't want to wait. You're like, hey, there's a lot more coasters, kid, but you got 3 more inches to go. Sorry, we teased you. So, because how old are you then at 35 inches? How old was Lacey?
2.5.
2.5. Wow. It's been so long since we've had young children, I feel like.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our number 8.
And that is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Guests must be 40 inches, 102 centimeters or taller.
I think I'm a little surprised that it's only 2 inches taller than Slinky.
Why?
It's because you're not individually seated.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
you slide all over the place depending on.
40 inches. She was still. I mean, that's 4 years old. It's the same as Star Tours.
4.5.
Star Tours, you're individually strapped in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lap bar that covers both of you.
And depending on who you're sitting with, like when, and no offense, you're not very big, but you're just bigger than a 2.5-year-old.
It's very different if I sit.
Right.
Yeah, it's very different if I sit next to
you put the lap bar down. You have to hold Lacey with your arm.
Yeah. And you're sliding side to side.
Yes.
So one of our favorite coasters, one of our favorite rides. This is another one where, this might be that progression of, all right, they did Barnstormer. They did good. Let's put them on Slinky Dog or Seven Dwarfs. They handled that with ease. Boom. Big Thunder. But I don't know that I would jump right into Big Thunder with a 40-inch
everything you were just saying was individually seated, where
Correct.
you feel more
secure
and safe.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the perfect thing. But this is such a fun ride.
Such a fun coaster.
I'm disappointed we didn't get any kind of like updates or, ending scenes kind of the way that they have it out west for the 50th anniversary. I'd love to see maybe some refurb on this, because it's one of those things. I don't know if we're getting older or it's getting rougher. Space Mountain, I swear, is getting rougher. I don't feel that is an age thing going on there.
Okay.
Like that one to me is definitely getting rougher, but Big Thunder certainly is. We have not ridden it. Well, no, we actually rode it. We rode it.
Halloween
That's right.
night.
The Halloween party night
Or
when we
not
went back
Halloween
because it was like
night, yes.
basically a walk on.
Yes.
Number 7 was also a walk on, and this is the exact same height restriction as well at 40 inches right
It
next
is.
door. What's that?
And that is Splash Mountain. And that is fun. That's a big drop too.
Yeah.
Which is, and again, just like Big Thunder, you are sitting next to a person that if you are 40 inches and you have a bigger dad or mom, your lap bar is going down and you're going to want to hold your baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So do you think, again, I know all this is going to be dependent on people's individual children. Do you think this is a good intro ride? And even when I say intro ride, I'm acting like this is the first height restricted ride the kid's ever doing.
yeah, I don't think so. Because I'll never forget Dinosaur that didn't get on. But what is Dinosaur's height restriction?
Let me double check real quick. Your height restriction at Dinosaur is going to be 40 inches. So
Okay.
same.
So I think it was around the time. So if Lacey was a little over 4,
Yeah, I think she'd have been around 5, maybe closer to 5.
5 years old.
Yeah.
Kaylin then was
7.
7. They both buried their heads in our laps, and we get off, and our little 5-year-old.
Oh,
Lacey,
we weren't even off yet. The
We
ride
weren't?
stopped. We pulled in at the very end where you're about to unload.
And Lacey looks at Jeremy and says, "Why would you think that was a good idea?"
It was so funny.
It
But you and I had
was.
never ridden it at that point.
We didn't, so we didn't know.
Right.
So I guess a big thing would be to make sure you have ridden these rides or watched a POV.
Yeah.
And
the thing with Dinosaur, most of the other ones we're talking, I feel like a lot more specifically about ride vehicles. Go back to Big Thunder. It's very ride vehicle specific. I don't think a child is going to be scared by any of the movement in a sense. It's not like you got big drops, or anything crazy. You're not going upside down. For this one, not only do you have the combination of a ride vehicle that jerks you around like crazy, it's dark, and there's giant dinosaurs popping out and growling and roaring and stuff at you. There's a lot of loud noises. This is a sensory overload.
That's true.
So,
but what's funny? After that, though, she did want to ride it again.
Yeah.
The next time, but they put their heads in our laps, probably for a year or so.
Oh, yeah, they would want to ride it again, but they'd still bury their heads in our
But they
lap.
bury our heads.
Yeah. So again, at that point, the ride vehicle wasn't bothersome to them. It was the scenery,
Right.
and maybe the sounds and stuff. We'll talk to a similar story, and we'll talk about Kaylin. Let's go on to what our number 6 is. Now that we're already talking about Animal Kingdom, what's number 6?
Expedition Everest, Legend of the Forbidden Mountain. Guest must be 44 inches, 113 centimeters or taller.
So what happened the first time Kaylin ever rode this? Now, and I'll say this also goes back to Splash Mountain. This goes to Everest. What I think is good about these rides, even though it's theoretically a spoiler, is that you can walk your child up to Splash Mountain. You can walk them up to Everest and go, watch.
Yep.
There's the people, there's the
the
vehicle, there's the drops.
Yep.
Is that something you're okay with? That's what we did with Jack and Luke.
Yep.
Our nephews,
Yep.
my brother's kids, when the first time they wanted to ride Everest, they said, look at it.
Right.
When we talk eventually, spoiler alert, about Rock and Roller Coaster, there's not that option.
Right.
Now, we never lied to our children about stuff like that. I know that some people might go in and say, no, it doesn't go upside down, or they don't tell them maybe ahead of time.
Right.
And then it's a shock. We just said,
I have a story about that.
all right, we'll tell it when we get to that one. Tell the Everest story with Kaylin, or do you want me to tell it because it heavily involved me?
I was very heartbroken. You can tell it. It
So
breaks my heart.
Well, it was one of those, you always, she was well over the 44 inches. I don't know exactly what height she was or what age she was at the time, but let's just say 44 inches. You're at roughly coming up maybe 5.5, 6 years old. Kaylin was probably maybe 7 or so. And every time we went, Kaylin, would you want to ride Everest? No, I'm not ready. Okay, that's fine. Are you ready? Nope. And we're not going to try and force him or anything. When she's ready, she's ready. So we finally went. She said, I'm ready. I'm like, awesome. Who would you like to ride with? And she says, Mom. I'm like, okay, you can ride with Mom. So it's one of my favorite rides ever. But that's our kid. That's what she wanted. That's what she gets. So she rides it with you. She does good. She gets off. And she's like, I'll ride it again with you, Dad. And I'm like, awesome. That would be wonderful. We go through the queue, having a great time. Everything's fine. We get ready to, I'll say, you exit, like you go through everything and then you're exiting it right before the cast member's going to say how many and board you. We're right there coming out of the building and I'm just standing there and I'm like, yes, riding Everest with my daughter. And I look down and I can just see her eyes welling up and tears start coming down her face. And I don't know how long, I don't know if that was building up the whole queue and she just felt so horrible. She didn't want to tell me. She I was so excited. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, I don't want to ride it again. And I'm like, okay, how do we get out of here? That's fine. And I was upset I didn't get to, but eventually I got to ride it with her. But it was like,
and then I got mad at myself later too and profusely apologized to her. But then I was mad and frustrated because she just rode it. So she knows everything to expect. And I just was very sad for Jeremy because
I think that's
I don't love it.
Well, I think that's also a testament to how great of a ride it is that you can know what to expect. And again, it can still scare you a little bit. I mean, even as grown adults, that backwards fall gets me. Like still, and I know exactly what I'm going to feel. I know exactly what to expect. I know what's coming. I know that ride like the back of my hand, and it still gets you. So I think that's just a testament to how great of a ride it actually is. 40 inches, very, very popular height restriction. What are we moving on to the next one? And I would not recommend this for a 4-year-old myself. What is it?
It is the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. And yes, 40 inches, 102 centimeters or taller.
I mean, Lacey still hasn't rode this.
She hasn't?
No, I still don't think she's... No. She has rode this. She's not done Rock and Roller Coaster yet.
Okay, because
which shocks me because she loves Velocicoaster, but we'll see. Maybe she'll do Rock and Roller Coaster over Christmas.
Maybe she will.
That would be amazing. I mean, I think it's... Okay, well, let's talk about Tower of Terror.
Yes.
Because I know this is... I've said it before. This and Velocicoaster are the only 2 rides at either of those theme parks that I go to that still give me butterflies in my stomach while I'm leading up to it.
Yeah.
But I would not, I personally wouldn't put my 4-year-old on it.
No.
I know that's very different for other people.
Kaylin's ridden this
Yeah,
too,
she has,
right?
but she doesn't particularly.
She probably doesn't like it because of the same reason I don't, where my stomach is kind of like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
And
it just turns it upside down.
Depending on, as Jeremy says, the way it goes up and down and how many times. I mean, there's times where I'm like, okay, can we be done?
Yeah. We've had 2 really, really good ones, like our last couple rides that I thought were just like, this is the best sequence you could possibly have. And it was, it was so good. But this is scary from beginning to end. I mean, even, and again, that's one of when your kid, all right, you might go, my 4-year-old could easily do the drops. They're not scared of that, but they don't like dark and loud noises, or they don't, you know what I mean? And here you walk into a haunted hotel where it is very dark. You're going to get, your lightning strike in your pitch black room for a second before in the pre-show area.
Starts at the pre-show.
You're going to go through the boiler room. I have a feeling, I don't know if the data's out there, maybe Lynn knows or something from Touring Plans. Would you think this is possibly the most ride that people, I'll just call it chicken out at the very last second? Do you think there's any other ride at Disney World that would beat this, where people are, again, you're getting to that part, cast members about to ask your party, how many do you have? And your kid looks up and goes, I don't want to do this. I feel this has to be number 1.
I did one time, didn't I?
You did. We were there with a group. I think it was all We might have had the kids with us, or we had a group with us.
I wasn't feeling very good, and I was very nervous, and I was like, I do not want to be sick, and so I was like, yep, I'm gonna go ahead. And I walked all the way through.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm not doing it.
I mean, they truly have a specific doorway that they're just like, there you go.
Yeah.
There it is. Go ahead and get out of here. So I, again, would wait a little bit personally till your kid's older, or this is another one, just explain to them exactly what it is, because you can stand outside and go, look up there. You're going to see those doors open and you're going to hear people scream.
Yeah.
Here's what's happening. And I think there's a fine line, because you don't want to take the element of surprise out, but you also don't want to scar your kid. You know what I mean? Like, let's talk about number 4, Rock and Roller Coaster, right? What are our height restrictions there? This is the tallest so far.
48 inches, 122 centimeters or taller.
See, this is one where, you ruin the element of surprise if you tell your kid this is in the dark and it goes upside down. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay.
And it also starts out super fast.
Yeah. And you got corkscrew, you got, inversions, all this. They go, okay, I'm all right with that. But then they go on the ride and they're like, well, I know what to expect. That kind of stinks. Like,
yeah.
I remember the first time you took me on Incredible Hulk coaster. And I don't know what I was doing. If I wasn't paying attention, walking by it or what, but I didn't know it had that launch.
Really?
I thought it was like most standard coasters, where it takes you up and then you're dropped. So I didn't know that. So I'm sitting on it like, this will be fun. And then it's like, bam. And that was so much fun.
My favorite.
But if you had told me ahead of time,
I knew that.
I didn't know anything about
Josh. Josh was going all the time, and Hagrid's open and he wrote it, and he was just like, I don't want to tell you. And I'm like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know when I'll get to Universal, really. And here what was funny, the ironicness of it was, I think very soon after that, we had to go because of everything with the pandemic. So, or we were going, or I can't remember when it was, but it was super funny because he did tell me and I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then
when
I was like, do you want to know? And
I was
you were
like, heck no. And my only disappointment is I remember we're in the queue and I look over and, I mean, spoiler alert, skip ahead 30 seconds. I saw where the track went up and stopped, and I'm like, this is going to go backwards at some point.
Yeah.
Why did they let me see that? And I'm like, great. Now there's no surprise. Well, I was wrong, because there is a second surprise. If you don't know, just go ride it. But yeah, Rock and Roller Coaster is pretty intense by the fact that you're in the dark.
Yeah.
So, it's one thing when you can look ahead and you can see what's coming. Like, you can look at Velocicoaster, for example, and see the entire track layout from across the water pretty much.
Yep.
You can go, there's a top hat. Oh, here's the Monosaurus roll. Here's an upside down inversion. Oh, I'm going to go around here. Plus, you can see ahead. You're going super fast, so it's hard. But even something like the Hulk, Big Thunder Mountain, you can see ahead of you what's coming. Rock and Roller Coaster,
you can't see.
You don't know when an inversion is coming. So I think that leads so much more to it. At 48 inches, Lacey was 7 years old. Again, she's 12 now, and she still hasn't ridden it and still acts like she's not ready. We'll find out at Christmas.
Yep.
And we can definitely get her opinion there. All right, let's move on to our top 3. What is number 3, Rhonda?
Avatar, Flight of Passage. Guests must be 44 inches, 112 centimeters or taller.
I think this is the best possible introduction out of all 10 of these rides, potentially.
Okay.
I think the scariest part, I think, could be is when those restraints come up the first time.
Yeah.
It just feels a little weird where you're like, oh, I'm pinned into this thing. But they warn you ahead of time.
They do.
You basically will have the feel of flying. The floor will technically kind of drop out from under you.
Right.
So they're giving you what to expect. You're having slight movement, very similar to Star Tours in theory. I think it's a good intro ride. At 44, you're looking again at about, somewhere between 5.5 and 6 years old, possibly. Mm-hmm. The only issue with this one is keeping those dang glasses on a little kid's head.
Yeah, I know. That's the hard part, but it is fun. And I will say a little tip, because when we first started writing this, Lacey, talking about back to the restraints, she had her chest all the way to the chest pad. And the way the restraint, she and her anxiety felt like she couldn't breathe.
Yeah, if you're a little claustrophobic, that's where I could see it happening.
I told her the next time to look like she's touching, but don't fully touch.
Give yourself an inch or something.
Just a little bit of room so she'll feel. And that little trick worked.
Mm-hmm.
And the next time I was like, "Are you okay?" And she was like, "Yeah." And she felt much better. I mean, she's definitely not going to fall out or anything.
Right.
And at one point, she did scoot back where the cast member had to ask her to scoot
move
up.
forward.
So again, I'm talking, this little trick is just about an inch or something, but just tell your kids not to like scoot all the way up where they're doing that, because if they have a little bit of anxiety or a little bit of, I guess, claustrophobia, it's a little hard.
Well, and I think for this one, you're so enthralled and amazed by the scenery in front of you that it can certainly either trick your brain or make you kind of forget about the ride vehicle.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think it's a scary ride vehicle. I don't think the movement is scary at all. But you almost forget about the ride vehicle in some ways because the scenery in front of you is just absolutely amazing.
And the smells and the wind.
Smells and everything. Oh. Yeah. So listen, if you're out there listening, James Cameron, Disney, make this happen. Can we please get multiple scenes and multiple storylines, including the new movies that are coming out? Because there's like 78 movies coming out over the next course of 139 years that I think you could have so much scenery in this thing. It would be absolutely incredible. What is our number 2? And do you believe this is a good introduction to height restricted rides?
I think so. This is fun. This is, we're talking Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. So guests must be 40 inches or 102 centimeters or taller. And that I do. I do because there's so much involved in, like, I guess you call them a bunch of pre-shows, really, before you get into the ride vehicle. Yeah. And then once you get into the ride vehicle, again, you're buckled in your own seat.
Mm-hmm. You're Mickey and Minnie's safe. Runaway Railway. You're Ratatouille, in theory, of your trackless vehicles.
Yeah.
Drop. I think it's so minimal and short that it might scare your kid for a second.
Yeah.
And you could certainly warn them about it.
Yes.
What do you think, though, of the overall story? Do you think, we're talking a 4-year-old. Do you think this could be scary to a 4-year-old?
Again, know your kid.
Yeah.
Especially if they love Star Wars. Probably not.
Yeah.
But
I agree with that. If they're familiar with the characters, I think it's going to be a lot less scary.
Yeah. It just depends.
Yeah. So
that's the big know your kid part.
It is. It is. I would put our girls on this, I think, at 4 to 5 years old. Yeah. I would feel okay doing that. I would probably warn them of the drop and let them know it is very minimal and be like, have you seen Tower of Terror? Is not that. I mean, it's one of those where
it's you can say one of them.
Well, yeah. Well, you can say, I think you could say,
in my opinion,
you've ridden Pirates, right? Yeah, I love it. You know, the little drop. Yeah. It's pretty similar, but it's more simulated. Have you done Frozen? It's not much worse than that. Okay. So I think that's where I would go at with that.
And then they'd be like, why did you say that? It's not the same.
I think it's pretty close. I mean,
okay.
Again, you have all these visuals going on in front of you.
Does it feel more?
That I think take away from it. I think it feels less.
Close your eyes next time.
Okay. We haven't ridden that in a while.
It's been a long.
This Christmas trip is just going to be so interesting because we're going to be back to like
what do you
more
want
running and gunning in a sense, in a way, and what they want to do, and I've already started asking them like, then we'll figure out a way to do it, like whether it's Genie Plus, individual Lightning Lane, whatever it may be. Let's move on to the final number 1. I'm hoping people can guess it. This is my favorite ride, personally, that I've ever been on.
Ready? Let's all say it together. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Cosmic Rewind.
Yes.
Guests must be 42 inches, 107 centimeters or taller.
I don't know where I stand on this one on being an introductory ride because of the motion, the spinning,
I was very nervous because of my motion and riding it with the patch.
Yeah.
I did ride it one time without, and I was fine, and I was super excited and happy. I think Kaylin will be fine.
Yes.
I don't think she will need anything, but it is a backward launching. It is a spinning and moving vehicle. So yeah, but kids sometimes always seem to be fine younger anyways.
Yeah.
But
do you like or dislike the fact that their first time ever riding it will not be the original ride as intended? It'll have the holiday overlay soundtrack.
Oh, for my children?
Yeah. I just thought of that.
What's the overlay supposed to be like?
We don't know yet. It's going to be a mashup of songs. From my understanding, it's going to be a mashup of songs, and it will play every ride. That's from my understanding. I don't think it didn't sound like they went and they picked 6 Christmas songs and are going to have them in rotation the way that they do now. It sounds like it is one track that has a mashup of Christmas songs, an original mashup that Disney is composing or putting together. And then that's what you will get every single time.
I think it'll be fun for them because they're not going to, I think it'll be fun, more fun actually, because they won't have like, oh, well, there's 6 and we're over here going, well, we've had all 6.
Right.
So we hope we get this one. And then if we don't, you and I are going to be like, man,
and we walk off, we're like, we got Everybody Wants to Rule the World again. And
then,
they're like, oh, is that bad?
Right. And then we think this could have been a better ride for them.
That's a great point.
Honestly, I'm happy, and I think it'll just be a wonderful family ride, and we will all get off happy.
Yeah. And just, fingers crossed we can make it happen. I mean, we're going to be running gunning for a virtual queue. We're going to run and gun for an individual paid lightning lane. Park hopping won't do us any good. We've got Epcot on Christmas Eve, so depending on how insane things are, it just fingers crossed, because that's the one thing they really, really want to do. When we were debating, like, do we just get park tickets for one day? They were like, well, then we want to do Epcot because we want to ride Guardians of the Galaxy.
I love that.
I do too.
But we have Park Hopper every day.
I know, but you can't hop and get it. There's no standby because the second virtual queue drop is at 1 and you have to be in the park.
So what happens if we buy a lightning lane?
Oh, no, we can try and do that. I mean, we can try that. Yeah. We'll try multiple days. Yeah, we'll definitely try multiple days. I mean, I have a good feeling, I think, about it because we've done it so many times already with, knock on wood, pretty good success. So you have wood. Mine's a glass desk, so that didn't do him any good. And it's got padding on top like a desk organizer, so that wasn't really working. But yeah, we're going to do another episode, probably a couple episodes from now, a couple weeks or whatever, and we'll do Universal. What is so interesting about Universal is I was going out and pulling these from the website is that I believe almost every single attraction at Universal had a height restriction as listed on their website.
Whereas Disney does not.
It's got plenty that are not height restricted. Some other popular ones that maybe didn't make it. Again, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is at 38. Space Mountain is up at 44 inches. Mission Space is at 40 inches. Soarin' definitely almost made this list. It's at 40 along with Test Track as well. Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run is at 38. That's one of the interesting ones because at 38 inches, you're 3.5 to 4 years old. So basically, just if that kid is flying,
don't let him fly.
You're in trouble.
That's where you let him push the buttons in the
just
back.
Let him be the engineer and just say, hey, kiddo, anything that something lights up, just smash the button. You'll be good to go.
Yeah.
But you got a couple years till we're letting you fly this thing because I don't want to crash into every wall possible. Toy Story Mania actually is any height. I mean, I've seen babies in laps on there.
Yeah.
They're awful. Babies. They're awful at the game though. I beat them every time.
You're so silly.
I love when I get to battle a baby. And then we've got Cali River Rapids is at 38 inches. And as we mentioned before, Dinosaur is at 40 inches. She does. And we make our way over to Animal Kingdom. I don't care what the temperatures are. If my girl wants to ride Cali River Rapids,
you're going to ride it?
With her. Heck yes. I'll go buy another shirt, pair of pants if I'm too wet, shoes. I don't care. I would. If we are in Animal Kingdom and walk by it and she's like, Dad, can we ride Cali River Rapids? Like, that's our tradition. Heck yeah. I'm riding it. I'm so freaking excited for that trip. We have a lot ahead of us before then, though, so I'm not wishing time away. But Thank you guys so much for joining. Let us know what some of your favorite height restricted rides are, and let us know your thoughts on maybe your individual child, what ages, what heights they rode a lot of these rides for the first time. And let us know how they did, because I would love to hear that.
Oh, absolutely.
So again, you can find us on all those social platforms at Main ST Magic. You can join the Main Street Magic community on Facebook. Hit subscribe, get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Go to wonderlandcrew.com. Check out our Patreon group. We have so much coming up November and December. You're definitely going to want to be able to see it all. And as long as you're out there, we would be super duper thankful if you could leave us a rating and review,
because it'll help our show grow.
That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts. Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.